Well, it's gotta have something to do with that noise.
You know something about the noise?
Well, it's not all that dissimilar to what happened in Cuba a while back through sound. Some people lost their teeth there, too. They've been saying there was chatter. This has to be what they were chattering about.
Chatter? What do you mean, chatter?
You gotta read the papers deeper than page 1.
Look out for Charlie.
I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head.
I'm going to be circling back to one of the most important cases that I've ever worked on. But before we get into this video, I want to state a couple things. One, if you have a short attention span, just leave now. You aren't going to learn or understand anything here. And in order for you to walk away with anything, you need to be able to pay attention to detail. What I will be showing in this video is technology, 100% technology. It's not ghosts or EVP, it is technology. It has been shown to be technology over and over on this channel. If you don't have time to go over the old videos of that evidence, don't attempt to lift your leg and piss in this comment section. If you are interested in validating your feelings, there are literally thousands of paranormal channels out there, so do not attempt to subvert what I do here. There is plenty of phony evidence that you can go comment on in that whole paranormal world. This is 2025. If you are that dedicated to posting your feelings on what you think reality is, make a video with all your evidence and proof and show the world. There is zero excuse anymore. We deal in reality here. Now, with that said, let's get into the important information. Back in 2023, I covered a case that took place in Austin, Texas. And the victim's name in that case was Raj Moonsinghe, who is photographed here. He was a tech startup guy. Raj was not a crazy person or someone who just snapped. Raj was tricked into believing that someone was in his home. And I came back to this case because it's not only a very important case, but because we have video and audio evidence of Raj talking to the alleged people that he believed were in his home. And I have been working on this case and this audio/video for a while now in my spare time. And in this video, I'm going to show you 100% mind-blowing proof that Moonsinghe was attacked with voice of God weapons. And I will also explain how this works. But before I do that, let's get a feel for what happened that night back in Austin in 2023. This is an interview with a longtime friend of Raj Moonsinghe, and he will kind of explain what happened here within this very short interview, which I have edited down to just the brass tacks. So let's get right into it.
I haven't watched the video, but I have had it described to me in like gory detail. But from what I understood from before to what is manifested now, all I know is Rajan came back from California that day. He did his normal business. He's opening a restaurant downtown at the Sea Home, and he came back. He was at home. He was with.
So it's important to note there that he not only does tech startup, he's opening a restaurant too. So the guy is, you know, a very busy guy, right? He's got a lot going on. So we'll just keep going.
His co-workers and friends, Garrett, at the house. He thought there was something going on. There was an intruder. I don't know if he heard something or what Garrett described as what like made them think there was an intruder.
So two guys thought there was an intruder in the house. There were clearly sounds, but they didn't see anybody. And then one guy, this Garrett guy, ends up leaving later.
But I know he went to the neighboring house who has like a security detail set up, and he'd asked them if they'd seen something. And I know then Garrett was there for a while. Garrett left. Garrett, when he left, Rajan then I think continued to investigate. He had a gun on his person, so he went out to go look around his house, like rousting around looking for something. And then from what happened next was, I think he addressed the person or whatever, the intruder in his house. He shot into his house. In that intervening time, the security guard that was next door had called the police. The police had come out and like surreptitiously, like sort of like stationed themselves next door one of our neighbors' houses. There's like a large fence there that sort of can obscure anyone. And so they came in very quietly, and sort of waited around the corner. And then Rajan comes out of the house with his gun, and they simultaneously tell him to drop his gun and shoot him without sort of alerting them to the fact that they're the Austin PD, without giving him a millisecond to respond to.
And that's 100% factual. They basically said, drop the weapon while they're shooting. It's insane.
Their request. So in the sense that they were doing their duty as law enforcement. So we started our company, a tech startup in Washington, D.C. back in the Obama years in 2000, I think it was 2011, 12. And Rajan and his brother Johan and a couple of other people helped set up what was then called Equity Eats, which became In-Kind. He was sort of one of those people who you'd imagine any tech startup sort of pours their blood, sweat, and tears into it. So he's been with the company forever, sort of like filling gaps. His background is in finance. That's what he studied at school. And so he sort of served in that position.
One thing I do want to ask, and I know this subject can be touchy, but it's something that you might be able to...
So he's going to ask him here, did Raj have mental health problems at all? And he's going to answer here.
Help. Viewers have asked us, was there any mental health concerns by chance? Could this have been... Had he ever expressed something like this before, or do you genuinely believe that he thought somebody was in his home?
I have no reason to believe that this was anything other than Rajan thinking that there was someone in his house.
Like, but never shown any sign
no.
of it. Yeah.
No, and he's clearly, he's like, no, the guy wasn't crazy, right? It's obvious. Now, it's important to note that Raj is not hearing a voice in his head. He is hearing something that sounds to him as though it is coming from inside and outside at points because he's looking around with a gun. It appears as though he was hearing multiple voices, but he never saw anyone. Now, this is Raj's security cam, and I'm not going to show him being shot. I'm just going to show him talking to people, all right? And again, these aren't in his head. These voices are projected around his house.
So again, this idea of being able to put sound anywhere you want to is really starting to catch on. We've got the military had just deployed some of these into Iraq where you can put fake troop movements a quarter of a mile away on a hillside. Or you can whisper in the ear of a supposed terrorist some biblical verse. I'm serious.
You can see what's going on here. And he's talking to these people. So he's looking around outside. He thinks there's someone outside, and he believes that there is someone in his house, and he is talking to them. I'm going to show you exactly what's going on, because I worked on this audio for a long, long time. Now listen to him talk to them here.
Yeah. You want this?
He's being fooled here. This is a weapon of war.
Are you sure?
Are you sure? Remember that. He's hearing a conversation going on, but you can't really hear it in this audio, right?
Oh my God, you're fucking stupid.
You hear that? Oh my God, you're fucking stupid. And then he repeats it again. You're fucking stupid.
You're fucking stupid.
I'm so glad I went back to this case. He finally shoots into the house. And that's when the cops step on it and pull around. And then they end up shooting him. Before we get into the evidence, we need to go back to something that I have covered here before. Sine wave speech. Sine wave speech is a very real and very known science. It's called psychoacoustics. And you can do all the research on that yourself. It is the process of taking a voice and transposing that voice into pure sine waves. At first, you may not be able to understand what's being said, but once you have either A, you know what's being said, or B, you have heard it for a while, you begin to understand what is being said to you. Your mind will begin to fill in the rest of the signal itself. Now, I'm going to show you an example of sine wave speech. it is clearly saying something. It's not a debate what it is saying something. I'm going to show that to you, and then I'm going to tell you what it says, and then I'm going to play it again. Listen again. Okay, what that is saying is the man read the newspaper at lunchtime. The man read the newspaper at lunchtime. What we are dealing with here is not exactly sine wave speech, but it's certainly related. I've been working with audio and music my entire life, and when you cut the frequencies from a clip of audio, let's say you remove 11 kilohertz through 17 kilohertz. It's just a random example. A phenomenon can and does occur, and that phenomenon is something in the audio that you couldn't really hear before becomes extremely loud. And this is what it's all about, where that previously unheard audio lies within the frequency spectrum and where you cut those frequencies. It's that magic spot that needs to be found for each piece of audio. And this technique is what led me to finding the evidence, one of the stages, so to speak. And what you hear in this audio clip of the Moonsinghe case is very similar to sine wave speech. It's continuously chattering. Now, again, this is not anywhere close to the evidence, but this is what got me finding the evidence initially, and then allowing me to dig deeper into it. All right, so what we hear in this clip is what sounds like sine wave speech going on and on and on before Raj Moonsinghe starts to speak. And it's picked up by his security camera. Let's check it out. You're going to hear like whistling. You hear that? It's just chattering on and on and on. And there's him, Raj, talking to whoever he believes is there. Yep, you want this? Now, this is what led to me finding the evidence, because when you put actual sine wave speech in noise, it sounds remarkably the same. I made this clip. I put sine wave speech in noise. Now that it's remarkably similar to this, it's just a little different within the EQ. And again, here's the one I made for comparison. When you compare the actual Raj Moonsinghe recording and the audio sample that I made of open air outside and sine wave speech mixed into it, they are nearly identical. The only differences we hear are the BPM and the tone of the recording and the overall EQ of everything, which is expected since Raj's audio came from a home security camera and mine came from a different recorder entirely. But the overall result is identical and it is undeniable. Here is the one I made. It's just EQ difference. Now, what I have picked up over the years doing these experiments or analyzing recordings like this, the Raj Moonsinghe case, I have picked up what appears to be a pulsed version of vocoded and sine wave speech, a form of hybrid. And it's very, very similar to what we hear in the actual Raj Moonsinghe case. And that is audible, and it's there in the original Raj Moonsinghe recording. And again, we're not even at the real evidence yet. But with this one alone, we can say with confidence that something similar to sine wave speech is being picked up by Raj's security cam. But the evidence becomes irrefutable and in your face when we move to the next step. In the video, we hear Moonsinghe responding to someone in his home. And I am now going to show you exactly what he was responding to and why he was responding the way he was. And when you're done watching this video, it will become crystal clear that Moonsinghe didn't snap, just like his longtime friend knew, and was in fact hearing weaponized audio, which is happening all over the United States at this very moment. This is the evidence. This is the end result of me working with this for a couple years, coming back to it on and off and on and off. What we have here is very, very important. It's probably some of the most important work I've ever done. After I show you this, I'm going to show you the audio with the video. But as soon as Raj walks out of his house with the weapon, you're going to hear a voice come in right here, and it says 2 people. It's very robotic sounding. However, when people hear this, we are getting straight to the signal, right? When people hear this, it echoing within their vicinity, it sounds way more human and can sound completely different. But what we're hearing now is the voice say 2 people. It says 2 people. People. Here it draws out, I know what you're doing. It's very weird, but that's what it says. Now, here's where it gets intense. Sounds like it says, we know some things, something like that. We're getting down to 1 signal, okay? We know the things. And this is right before he answers. It's very important. Now, we're going to come back to that because it's very important. But here it says, when it comes, in a very deep voice, when it comes, they're going to get you. They're going to get you. And he says, yeah, you want this? Check this out.
Yeah. You want this?
Now, here, it says, you're that Moonsinghe guy. It's hard for people to understand this, but it does say that. It says, you're that Moonsinghe guy. Here's Moonsinghe. Moonsinghe. At first, I thought it was saying something about singing. And then I remembered that his last name is Moonsinghe. It says Moonsinghe. Moonsinghe guy. You're that Moonsinghe guy, which is totally typical of what this technology would say to somebody. It says, you're that Moonsinghe guy. And then it says, when it comes, they're going to get you. And he answers to it. Yeah, you want this?
Yeah. You want this?
And then right after that, it says here, you're dead. So it says, you're that Moonsinghe guy, and then it says, when it comes, they're going to get you. And he says, yeah, you want this? And then it says, you're dead. And then it says here, very important, we just need you dead. Here's you dead. Here's just need you dead. And then we just need you dead. He was being attacked with voice of God weapons. This is the same thing that Woody Norris talks about when he talks about putting fake troop sounds, that kind of thing.
Where you can put fake troop movements quarter of a mile away on a hillside.
But Woody Norris's setup is very Mickey Mouse. This can be projected anywhere at any time. It's long range. But it gets way more intense than this. The evidence is mind-blowing. Now it says here, you're only human. You're only human. And that's when Raj says, are you sure?
Are you sure?
Are you sure? You're only human. Human. It's hard to understand these because they're pulsed audio. Sort of a blend of vocoded audio and sine wave speech. So it says, you're only human. And he says, are you sure? And it says here, I know the law. I know the law. Here's the law. Now, this is where Raj calls them stupid. And it makes perfect sense when you hear it. He's going to say here, I know the law as long as you wanted it. Listen. As long as you wanted it. Here's wanted it. And that t is totally exaggerated within that sine wave speech. And that's when he calls them stupid. That is why he says that. Let's listen to it as a full thing and then listen to him answer.
Are you sure? Oh my god, you're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid.
So it says, I know the law as long as you wanted it. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? That is what went down. He didn't lose his goddamn mind. Wanted it.
Oh my god, you're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid.
So here, they say, let me see the money. Let me see the money. Here's the money. The money. Let me see the money. And that's when he shoots into the house. Cop speeds by, and it says, arrest him here. And then there's no more talking between Raj and the people that he is perceiving in his house. The audio, the weaponized audio. But there is this. A voice comes in and it says, he's shooting. He's shooting. 100% says he's shooting. And then he fires again, and right after that is when the cops fire on him. So that is what went down. I'm going to show you that with the video so that you can see it. So here's the audio lined back up with the video from the beginning. It's going to say two people, and then I know what you're doing. I'll draw it out. Then he walks away. And it says there, we know the things or whatever. Then it says there, as he's walking back towards the house, you're that Moonsinghe guy. And then it will say, when it comes, they're going to get you.
Yeah. You want this?
Then it says, you're dead. And then it's going to say, now, we just need you dead. Then it says here, you're only human.
Are you sure?
And then, I know the law as long as you wanted it.
Oh my god, you're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid.
Let me see the money. Then he fires into the house. Then the cops speed by over here. Then it says arrest him. Then it says he's shooting. He's shooting. He's shooting, which proves surveillance. So the whole thing lined up. You can see exactly what's going on. I've been working on this for a long time, and it's time that I showed it to the world what actually happened that night and actually pulled the audio up the best I could. Raj Moonsinghe lost his life due to being fooled by weaponized psychoacoustics, and a trigger-happy cop is now indicted in the murder of Raj Moonsinghe. And whether the world is ready to face this or not, the real organization responsible for this entire situation still hide in the shadows. The Raj Moonsinghe case is a very, very special case because we have this audio and video evidence of Moonsinghe talking to these unseen people that other people generally can't hear. And people with the skills to do it can bring it forward and show what Moonsinghe was actually hearing. We very rarely have a case where there is audio and video at the time when a sudden quote-unquote hearer is in the middle of being fooled with these weaponized acoustics. Now, causing a person or people to believe that something is happening around them that really isn't is an illusion that the military has been using for decades and decades. And they aren't just using this on the battlefield. This started at home, and it is still being used at home to subvert, to take particular players out of whatever game they're into, to create narratives, and to essentially terrorize the population into accepting pre-crime policing, the mental health narrative, red flag laws, and just about every other draconian idea that you can think of. So before I finish this video, I want to state a few things for anyone attempting to understand all this. I just want to throw out some facts here. There are many stupid people with bad ears that will come to this channel and attempt to say, I can't hear it. And they attempt to dismiss things because they have bad ears. And that is why sine wave speech is such a perfect example for people like this. It doesn't matter whether your bad ears can't hear it or not. It 100% factually says the man read the newspaper at lunchtime. There is no debate. It was programmed to say that. There is no other interpretation. The man read the newspaper at lunchtime was recorded by the microphone, and it was transposed into sine wave speech. And when someone says they can't hear sine wave speech, it proves that these people just have shit ears. Case closed. But these people seem to think that everyone else must have shit ears too, right? And that just isn't the case at all. So remember that as you're moving forward. Raj Moonsinghe was a complete victim here of the same kind of thing that Woody Norris has talked about. And I want to talk about this real quick at the end of this video. There are people out there talking about this kind of thing who seem to have all the credentials but don't understand ultrasound or infrasound at all. They are telling people that infrasound cannot create audible voices, and that is absolutely untrue. In fact, it's either lies or it's complete incompetence. A combination of ELF signals can create audible harmonics. ELF can create artificial tinnitus in the ear. Pulsed ELF frequencies can create both tinnitus and audible harmonics or sound. ELF can create tinnitus-style tones and audible sounds as easily as ultrasound. It's the same thing as saying that ultrasound can't create voices, when it is 100% fact that Woody Norris's Mickey Mouse voice of God weapon seen at the beginning whispers in people's ears with low-level ultrasound harmonics. A simple experiment on your own with ELF can prove this to you. And the difference between ELF and ultrasound is you can't get away from ELF, which happens to be every single voice of God weapon's case, where the person goes out and tries to flee it. They are unable to escape what is happening because ELF penetrates practically everything. And these liars and alleged quote-unquote educated people are out there right now attempting to convince victims of this that they are being attacked with quote-unquote microwaves. If these people were simply hearing quote-unquote microwaves, it would be as simple as sitting in a Faraday cage and it would all stop. Everything would stop. It would be completely and totally easy for even a noob to learn how to stop this. In fact, they would just be able to hide in a cave if they wanted. But more often than not, a cave makes it louder. This is why people who hear the hum literally hear it louder down in a cave or somewhere enclosed like that, because it's creating a band shell syndrome wherever they are down hiding. ELF can create shadows in the vision. Pulsed ELF can create both controlled sounds and controlled shadows or even images in the vision, and anyone telling you otherwise doesn't understand what they are talking about. They don't understand harmonics, and they don't understand using ELF as a carrier wave. These people and organizations cannot gather a shred of evidence to present to anyone, not one shred, years and years into this matter, and they are still pumping the same lies and propaganda without one sliver of their own proof backing any of it up. No work, no data, no real tests of their own, and they are out there attempting to discredit others. They are either completely ignorant or they are lying to you. It may seem unbelievable to some people, but this voice says, I know the law, and then it says, as long as you wanted it. And that's when he begins calling them stupid.
Oh my god.
Wanted it.
Oh my god. You're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid.
Let me see the money. Let me see the money. Then he shoots into the house, and then it says, arrest him. And then it says at the end, before he gets shot, he's shooting. Shooting. So that's what this was all about. It's not some guy who snapped. It's not any of that. This was all a setup to get this guy either committed or killed. And I would like to talk to the original guy who was there and actually experienced what was going on with him before he left. They're gonna get you.
Yeah. You want this?
So every time he answers, there is a voice there. There is the evidence. This is all I have to show you. It's 2025. Look out for Charlie.
So again, this idea of being able to put sound anywhere you want to is really starting to catch on. We've got the military had just deployed some of these into Iraq where you can put fake troop movements a quarter of a mile away on a hillside. Or you can whisper in the ear of a supposed terrorist some biblical verse. I'm serious.
Look out for Charlie.